Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to the Plaid Oracle. Your reading is deep and kind of mystical and filled with emotion. And I hope that I can find a way to express it for you. The first card is this equator card. It says to make equal, but I don't think it's actually about that. I think it's about something that wants to be seen and known. Because we have the second figure. And then the first figure they're not making eye contact. I mean, they appear to be intimate with each other, but they are not making eye contact. And it's not as simple as saying the conscious and the subconscious or unconscious mind. Though there is an element of that. But it's more complex. And then communication. The frequency of communication supports our ability to exchange information in many different forms. It reminds us to run every piece of information, both incoming and outgoing, through our heart, the center of our truth, to stay in the flow of source and balanced exchange. There's something unexpressed, Scorpio, within you that wants to be known, to be expressed, to be seen. And it's something that needs to be seen, I believe, if you are going to move forward from here. Into a life that you can really enjoy, into an expansive and expressive life. We have here the cosmic heart. Devotion, potency, make your life a moving prayer. And this is certainly a scorpionic idea, the idea of potency and of bringing the mystical into the mundane. That Scorpio-Taurus axis. And we are about to, astrologically, as I'm recording this, we are less than 2 months from a nodal shift. The lunar nodes have been moving through Taurus, Scorpio, North Node Taurus, South Node Scorpio. And on July 17th, they will shift the North Node into Aries and the South Node into Libra. Shifting our focus. And there's something about that for you. Something about both Taurus, Scorpio, as well as Aries, Libra. Aries, Libra, self and other. Solitude and relationship. How we can really be in relationship with another. Whale and Orca elders. Share your song. Frequency of sound, diving deep. So the unexpressed wish, that's also a little simplistic. I think there's an intertwining of both desire as well as a sorrow. And that it is both of those things that you've been holding. The Four of Pentacles doesn't appear anywhere out here, but it is at the bottom of this deck. I believe, is it this one? No. But this has the King of Earth at the bottom. Oh, it's at the bottom of this deck. The Four of Earth at the bottom of this deck. And at the bottom of this deck. The sense of something held in the body and in even in energetic earth, if we want to put it that way, in the earth element of you, in the earth aspect of your mind, a held space, something held. And we have deep cellular healing, Arcturus energy, physical and emotional healing. Whatever this thing is that's wanting to be expressed is being held in some tight, solid space of you. And it's creating stagnations and blockages. Through your body. There may not be anything, that seems major to you, some diagnosis. But there can be lots of little things. Stiff and sore muscles. Feeling stiff when you wake in the morning. Slow digestion. Not absorbing nutrients as well in the body. Circulation issues, cold hands or feet. Stagnancy of lymph in the body. A stiffness in the fascia. And a lot of this has probably been coming up. I know that it has for me, many of these things, as Uranus has been moving through Taurus, activating places of stagnancy, of held energy, of stuckness. And for real healing to occur, there has to be movement, flow. Then we, the Hathors. Deep love, mother's milk, birth as a portal. To the other place where this kind of energy can block you is in receiving. Receiving love. Receiving in the land of milk and honey. There may be opportunities, there may be affluence around you, and you can't quite reach it. Because of this held stiffness of energy. And then this idea of birth. Of moving into a totally new environment. And radically. Birth is radical from this dark, muted, watery space where the primary sounds are those of your mother's body. Into a realm of light and air and more sounds, and where the heartbeat that you really live with is your own. And I think that some of us are moving into such a radically new world and environment as we navigate these changes, these mutations, that it may feel like birth, which I think must be a combination of fear and great anticipation and excitement. So we have this Ace of Air. The new song. The new breath, this first breath that you take when you are born. That first breath. To imagine what that must be like. First breath of air. And this wondrousness, from a dark, muted space where very little could be seen, to a world filled with sensory experience. How much do we shut down because it feels overwhelming, like too much? Too much. And I think it's been astrologically feeling in this moment, perhaps feeling this because of the nodal axis being in this square with Mars and Pluto and Jupiter in the mix. This fixed grand cross. And that's another thing that happens in July. We move from a fixed grand cross to a cardinal grand cross. I think it's July 22nd, the nodes going one way and Pluto and the sun going the other way, all at around 29 degrees of their signs. With, interestingly, Pluto and the nodes moving backward, heading deeper into the cardinal energy, and the sun just passing through on his way into Leo. Taking that cardinal flowering idea into the fixed creative space of Leo, into the heart-based space of Leo. So how much have you shut down in your life because of overwhelm or the fear of overwhelm? There's a lot of talk in the spiritual community about protection, about erecting force fields and shields for yourself if you're somebody who is very sensitive. But there are issues with this. I think that it's tricky to erect a shield that only keeps out one thing. In reality, I think that if you have a mindset of having to keep things out, of having to keep control, of having to keep strong boundaries, of maybe having to keep secrets, of not giving things away, which can all be sort of Scorpio things. I think it's difficult to say, I only want joy. I only want happy energies. And I'm going to erect some sort of shield that will do that. I think that's very tricky. You know, cells can do it because the membrane is intelligent. But I don't think that shields that we erect that way are intelligent. I think our intelligent membrane is actually our soul and our alignment with it. And I harp on this a little bit, that the best protection is alignment. There's a sound healer and teacher named John Boileau who teaches about tuning fork sound healing. And he has sometimes taken, and I know this anecdotally, I haven't taken his classes, but taken students down into the New York City subways, which are loud. When several trains are either coming or going, it can exceed 95 decibels. And if you are a highly sensitive person, particularly sensitive to sound, and just in general as a human being, we're sensitive to sound. Sound can set off the sympathetic nervous system. And his purpose was to try and teach people how to let the sound flow through and around them and not get caught in the body. To just allow it to pass through so that it's not something violent, right? It doesn't feel like an assault at that point. It's just... Now, not so simple, would take practice. But I think it's true of many things. That we learn as children to brace ourselves against the world. And that impedes connection. All kinds of connection. Connection with other people, for sure. If you're braced and always expecting trouble, what does this person want from me? What are they going to think of me? Am I going to get along with this person? You know, waiting for them to say something you don't like, waiting to be offended, waiting to be hurt, braced against things. The bracing, the things cannot move in or out. Now this Six of Earth in this deck is called the Dragon's Eye. And the story is that the Dragon's Eye is this hole. And when it fills with water, it becomes a scrying bowl, like Galadriel's mirror. Someplace where you can see what is. And this is available to you, Scorpio, to see what is this thought, this feeling, this message that wants to be communicated to you from within. I have the sense that it has something to do with connection to others. That there's a loneliness here. A loneliness, maybe, that wants to be expressed. And the Dragon's Eye is filled. It is a moment now when you can see into yourself. Now we have the Empress, and right under her is this Chariot card. And there, right there, this feels like longing. The longing to move, to shift emotionally. The Chariot is associated with Cancer, cardinal emotion. And that is where the sun will in mid-July, or on July 22nd, in that grand cross, with Pluto across the way in Capricorn. A longing for some ossified, calcified, frozen emotion to be released. change. The possibility of change. And what needs to be dealt with, one, this says reliability, but this Knight of Pentacles is today all about his armor and his shield. That blocking, shielding energy that we use to put little boxes and shields. And they may not be hard, you know, it could be something that's been just covered in cotton wool. So that it doesn't poke or shatter. And then the fear. That hour of the wolf energy in the middle of the night. When we can wake and feel as if the world is closing around us. But there is strength. And it may be this moment, you know, Scorpio, Mars is your dispositor. And he's moving through Leo now. Now this is square Scorpio, but that's where the change happens, is in the square. Creativity, passion, confidence. Boldness. Faith. Love. And then this Ten of Air, which today is talking about that you don't, right? You don't have to do this, right? It's a sort of the shielding metaphor. That you keep blowing the feathers back. But they're just feathers. Sometimes the fear is sort of worse than the reality, the anticipation of the fear. Worse than what really happens. This fear of softening, of allowing things in. It can feel so vulnerable, especially after a lifetime of being braced, of being armored, of pushing aside any thoughts that seem soft or airy-fairy or, you know, excessively romantic, gullible. But here you are gazing into the mirror, into the dragon's eye. You've found the courage. You know, maybe it's just that you've just had enough. You've had enough of the way things are. You've had enough of living in this way that doesn't feel good anywhere, not in your body, not in your mind, not in your heart. You've reached saturation and you are now ready to try something new. To go and look at this fragile, crystalline thing that wants to make itself known. Continuing the Lord of the Rings metaphor, it's a bit like the glass of light that Frodo is given, the light of Lorien. That will light the way in dark places. You know, it appears to be made out of glass, fragile, precious, soft. But in fact, it is powerful. Its release is powerful. And that brings you to the Chariot. You no longer are looking at it longingly or wistfully or painfully. You can see it. You've climbed into it, ready to go. And here, this Patience card, which for me is often the card of the heart choice. Right? She has her hand there on the heart space. The clock is there. It's heart time, not brain time. That is important here. Following the heart. Listening to the heart. And then here, this actually came out in Virgo, this idea of becoming flesh. You know, she seems as if she might be made of stone, but she's becoming flesh from the top down. Coming out of the armor, breaking these walls. Ending the bracing. So advice. We start here with the Six of Wands. And right underneath it is this Five of Pentacles energy, and under that, the Ten of Wands. And under that, the Three of Swords. So these really sort of difficult, painful cards that lie underneath of loneliness, of being, of feeling cast out, of feeling without resources, a feeling of being weighed down, of having so many responsibilities, of overwhelm, and a feeling of grief, of suffering. Six of Wands, victory. Seeing yourself properly in the dragon's eye. Seeing the fundamental strength of yourself. That you don't need armor. He's not armored up. Alignment, honesty with yourself, a willingness to feel everything, even things that are painful. And then the Five of Wands. I love this Five of Wands. So not conflict, but opportunity. all kinds of things that suddenly explode out when you're no longer braced, when you're no longer locked away, when the energy can move. And then the Knight of Pentacles with, in this card, riding a dragon. This combination of Taurus and Scorpio. Manifestation. Spirit coming into matter. Compost and growth. And then 2 swords. Choose wisely. Choose from the heart. And this is also my card, in this case, of dedication. And this seems like a warrior in a kind of a ritual, dedicating themselves to their choices, to a life of courage and openness and heart. And then the Ace of Swords. The new way, the new idea. The new sword for Mars, your dispositor, to carry into battle, into life. So I hope I have done justice to this reading, to this message within you that wants to be heard, this soft spot that maybe has been packed away. I kind of have this vision of boxes in boxes. We sometimes did that when I was a kid in my family. We would, at Christmas, somebody would put a small box into a bigger box, into a bigger box, and so on. So that you had to unpack all of this. So I picture this small, precious light inside a box that wants to be known, to be heard. And you now have the opportunity to see it, to hear the communication from within you that will allow you to unlock things, to know that it's not death. It's not the end to hear whatever that part of you wants to say. That it's actually a freeing, it is a birth. I wish you the very best, Scorpio. I wish you joy and softening and lightness of being. And I'll see you next time. So long, Scorpio.